As we kick off the new year, I want to ask you, what does living with purpose look like in your life? I think this is the time of year where we start to think about our own goals and our resolutions we've made for the year and how to live life with more intention. Today's episode is called Purposeful Living, Ways to Live Longer and Healthier. It's all about adding more meaning to your moments rather than just years to your life. I'm thrilled to have with us today Lois Mazzaros, a clinical psychologist with over 42 years of experience helping people live with more purpose. She also serves on AARP's Executive Council and has a private practice in Severna Park, Maryland. So Lois, welcome. I'm so glad you're here today.
Well, thank you. And thank you for that introduction. I'm excited to be here.
Yay, it's awesome. So Lois, as the expert in purposeful living, can you tell us what a purposeful life is? What does that mean?
It's finding your passion. It's really pursuing it with gusto. It's what makes you get up in the morning, and it's something you're excited about. You start out by looking at your life. What are your values? What are your beliefs? What are your passion? And you want to incorporate them in the way you live in your life. And that gives your life more meaning. You feel more satisfied. You also need to help others. You have to get outside of yourself. You just don't want to be in yourself, but outside, helping others, making a positive impact on other people. You want to be growing and learning continually. If you're a senior, there are community colleges around that offer programs. Some are free, some might have a minimal charge. You have senior centers, you have libraries. There's just so many ways to kind of keep learning and growing. And you always need to take care of yourself, both physically and mentally. Take time for yourself, relax. And I kind of like to give you an example of this with one of my friends. She was a nurse and she worked in the emergency room of the hospital. She had kids, she had a family, she was really busy. And in her late 60s, she decided to retire. And she looked at her life and thought, gee, I could do better. So she said, what do I really like to do? And she said, my value is to be outside. I like to go in the sun. I like nature and I love gardening. And so she said, my value is being outside, uh, being with nature, putting my hands in the soil. And my belief is, gee, I'm pretty smart. I could go back to school. I want to be a master gardener. So she looked around. There's a community college there. She felt she had the skills to do it. And she went to the community college. It didn't happen right away. This is a journey. It's not a destination, it's a journey. And you do it in steps. And within a couple of years, she is a master gardener and she loves life and she's having a lot of joy. But as a result, there's a little community garden in her area. And in the summer, they all work and they take the food to the inner city where people really can't get a lot of fresh fruits and foods from the garden. So not only that, but she's gone outside of herself. She's helping other people. And that's what we mean about being happy, being passionate, and having a purposeful life.
Right. I love that because it sounds like, she just took stock of what do I enjoy? What am I good at? What would I just like to spend my time doing? And if you pursue that path, it does lead to helping others because it's just such a natural progression of, I'm going to do this for myself, but then I do it so well, I want to share it with everybody else. And I think that's a perfect example of, I don't know that she necessarily started that journey with the intention of providing food to other, inner city people or whatever. I don't think that was probably part of her initial plan, but how it unfolds like that is just exactly how purpose can lead to meaning. I think that's amazing.
Yes, and like you said, it took her a couple years to get involved in the community garden, but she has a lot of joy. She's really very happy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And Lois, I love how you said, just how you brought up finding your passion because some people I've talked to just they don't know what their passion is. They don't know what, I don't have a real passion. I don't know what my passion is. And you have to be a little reflective and look inside and it doesn't have to be something aspirational or, that other people would look at as like a lofty goal or something. It's just what drives you. It could be something very simple. It doesn't have to be anything that on the surface looks very impactful. It's just something that you enjoy doing, right?
Yes, and I can give you another example of exactly what you're saying. Um, this man, he was worked on furnaces, and there's this nut and bolt in this furnace, and it drove him crazy because it kept breaking and was having all this problem. But he was busy and had a family, and so he retired, and that bolt and that nut and bolt kept driving him crazy. What could I do? So after he retired and had time, he really started thinking about it. That nut and bolt, I have that passion to fix this. And he actually did. He took the time, invented a new system, even got a patent, but it made it easier for everybody else in the future who had to work on these furnaces. So one little tiny thing can become important to you, can become your passion.
Right. I love that. It's just such a simple thing. It doesn't require any like lofty thinking or setting major goals. It's just solving a simple problem, right?
Right. Hmm.
Love that. So, Lois, let's talk about how to create a more purposeful life. Like what are the steps we take to do that?
Well, there's a man named Paul Williams Davis, and he wrote How to Create a Purposeful Life. And I really liked what he had to say. So rather than reinvent the wheel, I sort of took some of his ideas and added a couple of things onto them. But he starts out by saying, define your values and priorities. Know where you are, know who you are, know where you are. And let's look at what's important to you. Let's look at your values. Let's look at your priorities. And that could be your family. That could be, gee, I want to be creative. I want to write poetry. I've always wanted to write a novel. Or it could be, gee, I want to volunteer somewhere and help other people. So look at your priorities. And my friend that I was telling you about, who became a master gardener, one of her priorities was actually spending more time with her family and her grandkids. So she went out and bought garden tools for them
That's
and
great.
brought them in to work with the garden. And a couple of them really liked it and kind of stuck with it. Others wanted to get back on their phones and their computer games. But it did let her know what her priorities are and bring her family in. But my advice is write them down. Write down
Mhm.
what your priorities are. Really look at them. Look at your value. What is important to you?
Okay, so priorities and values is obviously
Right.
important, right?
Set goals. What are your goals? If your goal is to be a master gardener, you can't do it all at once. You take this course and then that course, and you practice here and you practice there. So make your goals realistic. Be able to measure your goals, but you have to know where you are now and how you want to get where you want to get. So,
Hmm.
you need to set those goals. The next thing is you want to live mindfully. And what that means is live in the present, okay? Savor each moment. The past is gone. We don't know what the future is. Life is short. Live in the present. And my theory has always been if you have stuff from the past that's bothering you, it's like garbage, right? The longer you hold on to that garbage, the stinkier it gets. It just starts to smell worse. Get rid
Hmm.
of it, throw it away, let it go, and come back to the moment. Savor the
Right.
moment. Mhm. Because you can't do anything about the past. It's happened, and you don't know what the future holds. And then we get back again to helping others, really get outside yourself, help others, find ways to really help other people. I mean, it could be church, it whatever, but I'm a big let's volunteer. So, you know, find a way to help other people. Um, do what you love. Find your passion. Do what you love. Be true to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Where am I? Where do I want to go? You know, be really honest with yourself. And you're going to have to embrace change because change happens. And purposeful people are resilient, you know, they can go with the flow when things happen. They just react and reset and keep going, you know, when it gets tough, the tough keep going.
Hmm.
And I would like to kind of give you another example of a patient of someone that I worked with. And he lives in LA, California. And when the Dodgers and the Yankees started playing baseball, he got all excited about it. And he really got into the game. And he has a teenager and a young son. So he brought them in. Come watch this. He took them to the ball game. Then he got his father involved. And then they all went to the ball game. And then he pulled friends in. And he got so impassioned about the Dodgers, and they had such a family bonding over the Dodgers. And he even wrote the owner and said, "Look what you've done. You've brought my family together. We've connected. We have a shared experience. And I want to volunteer with you. I want to get involved. I want to do something with the Dodgers." So it can be minor things like that, but he was so very passionate with it.
Yeah. Passion is contagious. I love that. Yeah. Um, so Lois, my takeaway from that is that being uncomfortable with uncertainty, because, the journey's what's the interesting part. And that is a purpose in itself, right? Like,
Right.
even
Mm-hmm.
though you're trying to achieve a goal and get somewhere, it's the things you discover along the way that also, brings you intrigue and curiosity and what's next, or what's the next twist and turn, and how will I solve that next problem. So it doesn't have to be about the end goal. It can be about the journey. So I love that.
Absolutely. And each step in the journey has
Right,
its own rewards.
right. I
Mhm.
love that so much. Okay, so let's talk about something that's kind of a hot button in the news, because we've had an epidemic of loneliness and isolation, particularly after the COVID-19 pandemic. And now there's a lot of emphasis on, you know, making sure people have meaning in their life and the impact of it on mental health. So could you speak to that as far as how important living with purpose is to our mental health and our mental well-being?
Yes, and it is. And AARP has developed 6 pillars to help actually older adults or anyone with their mental health. And I would like to go over those because I think it's important. And the very first one is being social, connecting with people, volunteering, joining. If you have an interest in the Dodgers, join other people who have an interest in the Dodgers. If you like gardening, join a garden club. If you need to have shared experience. You need to be around people to actually physically see people. Grandparents need to be hugged. That touch, that need. So be social. Go out in your community, volunteer, do connect with people that you can share your experiences with. The next thing that we emphasize, the second pillar, is engage your brain.
Mm.
Okay, face challenges. Don't get out of that old routine. Get out there, do things, be challenged. Um, if as you do new things, you build pathways in your brain. And those pathways are important because they help you fight things like dementia. The more pathways you have, the better off that you are. So challenge yourself. Get out there. AARP has a website called Being Sharp. They have puzzles, they have crossword puzzles, they have word finds, they have all kinds of things that you can do to keep your mind sharp and your mind going,
Mhm.
moving, changing. The third pillar is managing stress. And I think with all the political things that have happened with COVID, where we were all very isolated, there's been an awful lot of stress out there in our world. And we need to really know, how do you manage that? And there are lots of ways to do it. Technology has really made it easy. There's different yoga, seat yoga, uh, Tai Chi, things that help you breathe. They teach you how to breathe. They teach you how to relax. Um, when I get stressed, I have to go walk around my house. I hook up my dog and out we go, and we start walking, and we start exercising, and we get out there. So find a way to manage your stress, because stress can be deadly.
Right. Good one.
The fourth one is ongoing exercise. And you need to live an active life. You can't stay in your house and sit in front of your computer. You really do need to be active. You need to get up. You need to walk around. You really need activity in your life. And um, I my mother was older, and I thought, how can I help her? She's not active enough. So I bought her a stationary bike and I took it to her, and she promptly moved it into her laundry room and hung clothes on it. You know, uh,
Yeah.
she had no interest in the stationary bike. So I said to her, what interests you? What will you do? And she said, well, I like to be outside. I do like to walk. Um, so we looked at a couple of neighbors who were walking and kind of started talking to them, and they invited her to walk. So every day she went out there and she walked with the neighbors, and they walked around the complex, and she bonded with them, and they called each other, and they went to lunch and they had dinner. But my point here is, find something you'll do.
Hmm.
Yeah, because if you pick things that don't interest you, you're going to hang clothes on them. You're not
Right.
going to do them. You really need to find things that you'll do.
Right. Right.
So that is our fourth pillar. Our fifth pillar is restorative sleep. And I have to tell you, with all the patients that I see, this is one of the major issues. They will come to me and say, I really have a problem with sleep. Um, I can't sleep. Some can't fall asleep. Some wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and can't get back to sleep. And sleep is important. Sleep clears out your brain, it rebuilds your body, it kind of restores you. So getting 7, 8 hours sleep is important. So you need to find a sleep technique that's going to work for you. Um, they they recommend don't put your TV in your bedroom. Keep it away from where you sleep. Keep that room dark. Keep it as quiet as you can. Close the curtains. Um, Keep it a little bit cooler. Don't exercise 2 hours before you go to sleep. Don't drink or eat because you might have to get up and go to the bathroom and then you can't go back to sleep. So, finding some technique that will be helpful to you because restorative sleep is very important. You need to get into the REM part of sleep
Mhm.
where you're really REMing and you're dreaming and you're really restoring your body.
Great advice.
And the sixth pillar is eat right. And I guess this is my weak area. Okay.
You're not alone.
I grew up on sugar. My grandfather was a baker. My father worked for the Coca-Cola company.
You come
And
by it honestly.
I do. I just grew up on it, and every day anything left at the bakery came home. So we had cake, pies, cookies, always had
Yeah.
Coke in the house. Kids in the neighborhood loved us because they could get all these great things there. But I really do have to watch my sugar intake. You have to be careful about diabetes. Um, you don't want too much caffeine. And one of the things that is can be a problem with is alcohol,
Mhm.
because alcohol mixed with medication really can enhance the medication, have negative impacts on it. So I think you really do have to watch how much you're drinking
Mhm.
and the low carbs, low sugars. You need to come up with the diet that works for you. And yesterday I was watching a program where it was called Meal Boxes, and you could actually get a boxed meal. Some were already prepared, some you took you maybe 20 minutes to cook, but they could be low carb or they could be low sugar or no salt or,
Mhm.
you know, and you didn't have to shop. They came to your door. You weren't wasting a lot of food, but they did tend to be somewhat expensive.
Mhm. Yeah. Those meal preparation services are wonderful, but you have to have the resources to do it. Yeah. So is that our six pillars?
That's your six pillars. So let me just run through them, just
Let's
tell you what they are one
let's
more
recap the
time.
six pillars.
Be social, engage your brain. First one is be social. Second one, engage your brain. Third one, manage stress. Fourth one, ongoing exercise. Fifth one, eat right. If you do all these, and we know you're not going to do them all, but do the best you can, it's really good for your mental health.
Lois, let's redo that because you said five. I think you skipped sleep.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Let's
okay.
redo
So,
it.
but that's why
Let's
we're
redo it.
recording, right? So take
Right.
it from the top. Like, tell us what they are, the AARP's pillars.
The first pillar is to be social. The second pillar is to engage your brain. The third pillar is to manage your stress. The fourth pillar is ongoing exercise. Your fifth pillar is restorative sleep. And your sixth pillar is to eat right.
Right. And these are AARP's six pillars of mental health or just healthy aging,
They call it mental well-being.
mental well-being.
Yes,
Perfect.
AARP does tend to use the term brain health.
Hmm.
So they
That's my
say,
term too.
yeah, okay. It's looking at your brain health. It's your mental well-being.
Great.
It's your brain health, and you can always go on their website and
Mm-hmm.
look up these 6 pillars, and they give you a lot more
And I
information.
think like that's so helpful to tie this back to our topic of purposeful living, because those 6 pillars, you can set an intention relative to each one of those. You know, I'm going to live with intention to get more sleep. I'm going to be intentional about eating right, or be intentional about being social and exercising. Like that's kind of a built-in framework for how to design, your year looking forward. These are the things I want to address, because it's shown in the research to make my chances of having a healthy brain and a healthy body better. So I think that's a great way to tie in this to our topic today.
Well, the other thing, the Department of Aging is saying that people who are 5 years old or younger, the life expectancy could be as high as 100 for them. They could live for 100 years. And you want to be healthy.
Right,
You don't want to spend a lot of those years in a situation where you're not healthy and
right.
you're not enjoying your life. So you want to seek your passion and you want to be healthy while you're seeking your passion.
Absolutely. Well, these are great tips, Lois. Thank you so much. Do you have any closing thoughts for us about, purposeful living or living with intention? Any other take-home messages for us?
Well, I think one of the things you have to do, it's journey. There are, you're not going to be able to do this all at once. So I think you need to start by being introspective, look into yourself, really identify, gee, what are my values? What are my priorities? Where am I right now? And where do I want to be? Look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses. None of us are perfect. We're all flawed,
Hmm.
and it's not to be perfect. It's to progress. It's to make progress. It's to take steps in the direction where you want to be.
Right.
And I think it's definitely important that we have social connections, that we connect to our community, that we get out there, that we help the community, we support people, we go beyond ourselves, and if you can, surround yourself with people that support you, people that can give you advice. you know um, a, a purposeful life is fulfilling and impactful, and it brings you satisfaction, and it brings you meaning, and it brings you joy. um, and one of the things that I don't think we think about enough is being grateful. You know, I am so grateful for the things I have, and really concentrate on what you have, not what you're missing.
Right.
Look at what you have, and then work toward making progress and living the life you want to live and being the person you want to be.
Oh, Lois, I love that advice. That's a great way to close this out. I think that's very beautifully said.